unpack the impact of recent reforms. My name is Oduwayo Sawyer. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today. Our guest on the show this morning, Mr. Kehinde Jones, Head of Research and Strategy at Osrc Securities Limited, will be joining us virtually, but that will come after this short timeout. Don't go away. Joining me this morning on the show is Kehinde Jones. He's Head of Research and Strategy at Osrc Securities Limited. And this morning we'll be taking a look at the half-year performance of the Nigerian stock market. Thank you so much for joining us, Kehinde Jones, on Business Today.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome on the program. Now, the Nigerian Stock Exchange Osrc Index has ranked second across Africa in half-year 2025, and this has been attributed to key reforms such as the recapitalization exercise, among other economic fundamentals. Also of note is that the market capitalization in half-year went up by 21.04%. Market transactions gained 61% in half-year 2025, and foreign participation surprisingly also went up 27.80%, while Osrc index at 16.57% in half year 2025. What do you make of the market performance for now?
Yes, so like you said it all. And if you look at what happened from January to year to date, let's even say January to June, half year of 2025, economic reform policy are certain, and also a lot of foreign portfolio investors are really participated in the market by institutionals. And there's a time in April and in March and May 2025 this year where we saw foreign portfolio investors participated more than 50% of the market. And you even notice that consumer sector stock like Presco, Okomo, and the West, and industrial sector stock have really drive the market up. And MTN also really drive the market. So in terms of the participation of investors, domestic and foreign investors, participation is quite high, and economic reform have really helped the market. And if you go down to analysis in the capital market, you will see that in money market part of the economy, you will notice that the yield in money market is quite down, and fixed income yield is also down. So most investors, domestic investors here in Nigeria, most of them are moving to equity market because of the increase in participation, institutionals, HNIs, and retail. And you will also notice that year on year is quite impressive. Even month on month, just for the insurance reform act that occurred last 2 weeks, it really have dragged the insurance index up by 42% within a week, and economy is sitting above 50% year to date. However, you notice that oil and gas is still lagging behind because of geopolitical issue, uncertainty in the PMS price in Nigeria here, and you notice that the OPEC plus supply, increase in supply, are really a key issue in price volatility and uncertainty in geopolitical zone of commodity market. So in terms of indices, in terms of performance, the banking sector have performed well, the industrial sector have performed well, the consumer sector have even performed well. Insurance came in terms of just last month, just last week to this week, and I will tell you for sure that the consumer sector, the inflation figure have really helped the consumer sector. We should not forget one key aspect that really helped our foreign portfolio participation is the refund of the foreign exchange rate also than pegging to free float. And you will see that our naira really appreciated against dollar. And even in the parallel market, is still the supply is kind of high. So CBN also intervened in the foreign exchange market, which really stable the exchange rate. So this reform, this economy reform, and this economic policy have really made a positive impact to the equity market. And I believe going forward, there will be sustainability in the market. The industrial sector, the consumer sector will really sustain the market for quarter-three. Most times, you will notice most times in the equity market, the Nigeria domestic equity market, you will notice that in quarter-three, quarter-four, the market is kind of not in the large space. Not much activity is not like, as much as quarter-two, because most investors want to position for interim dividend. We've seen cases where Okumu Presco really pay interim dividend. We've seen cases like Elanec Financial was not that good last 5 years, but they came up with strategy of acquiring more land for their palm oil business and production. And we also noticed that Nestle have traded more than 2,000 this year from what is currently trading from last year around 900 down to this year around 2,000. And in the market also, you see industrial sector like brass cement that was trading below 83 naira last year, currently trading above 151 naira in the market. One also have traded above 140. However, our target price at Aqua Security Limited for Guaco is 180.
Okay.
Due to fundamental, due to valuation.
Okay.
So for me, this year really be an impressive year for Nigeria Stock Exchange. The foreign participation have increased, very increased. I was reading a report where we did a listing research. In 2023, about $1.1 billion was an inflow in 2023. It increased from $1.1 billion to $8.3 billion within a year. So the inflow in terms of the policy CBN was using was really okay. NPR still remain the same, 27.5, and you notice that those policies are really helping the economy. But if you look at our budget for 2025, in terms of the price of energy price, Brent crude oil, we've not met our quotas, daily supply. We've not met our daily supply, and we are still lacking behind because of the issue of insecurity and all these refineries, all this crude oil production. And the oil and gas is still quite down. Arade is still trading around 570. This morning, Arade is trading 570. There was a cross deal in Arade about 793,000 units that occurred this morning within a short period of time, and the cost was around 517 naira. And we've seen cases whereby UPA even came back to the market to do right issue at 15 naira, and also Charms also want to do right issue also. And I still believe Fidelity Bank is still coming back because most of them want to meet their quotas want to meet their capitalization
quotas
for again
2026.
So a lot of activities happen this year. Especially, we will give credit to the economy reform policies that have occurred. The banking capitalization, the insurance capitalization, and CBN also came in to drive the foreign exchange, to drive our naira up. This policy have really take effect in the equity market. That's why you are seeing most times that investors, when they bid high, there's always oversubscription in the money market space, and the allotment for this investor is not tangible for what they wanted to buy in the money market. So most of these investors in money market will surely want to take the money back to equity market, and equity market is a market that play a risk that is systematic. If you do your proper analysis, if you invest in value stock, you take profit. And I will give you more than 15 stock or 20 stock that have done that have done much above 200% in this year. Tesco have done more than 200%. Brassmith have done more than 200%. Nestle have done more than 200%. MTN also did well. If you look at the financials of MTN, you notice that their shareholders fund in last year December 2024 was around negative of 452 billion. However, half year 2025, from 452 to 42 billion negative. That means the refund of NCC, increase in NCC by 50%, have increased the data revenue, have increased the voice revenue of the telecommunication sector. This I'm just giving credit to all this reform stability. And we will notice that our president, the president of Nigeria, said that we need to take consideration of digital economy. Because most of fintech is coming to Nigeria, fintech business is coming to Nigeria, and he's saying that fintech have to also fintech company need to list in the Nigeria Stock Exchange. And you even notice that CBI even came out with the single obligor limit for bearing risk, telling banks that don't borrow more than 20% of your total assets with a single person, and you have to recover it. So this reform has really playing the foreign market is doing well, the equity market is doing well, the money market and physical market is kind of in a segment or sitting on the fence. So in terms of the equity market is very positive. I would say that going forward in quarter 3 to quarter 4 2025, I'm saying that it will end positive. The index performance is quite good for banking, for
insurance.
Insurance is still quite okay now, but oil and gas is negative. And we are seeing different companies coming back to the market, doing right issue, terms, PPA. And Orlando wanted to do $500 billion in terms of the needed fund for business upgrading. And they are saying that they want to do. So we don't know yet whether the $500 billion will be on private placement or right issue or new listing. So we don't know yet, but the information, I'm sure the information will come out for end of quarter 3, where they will be talking about how they want to raise that fund. And we've seen Trump saying that they need to do more on digital space. The right issue also on digital space. They need more money for working capital. And looking also coming back at listing the right issue at 15 naira. So if you look at the market now, currently UB is trading below 15 naira, which is still a good buy for investors. So I believe the equity market is quite impressive this year.
Okay, Kende, now, so is it a story of confidence replacing caution in the Nigerian equities market? And also, we are seeing impressive foreign participation. What is the position of domestic investors in terms of participation in the equities market?
So, if you notice what happened, even from SEC reports, the participation for both domestic and foreign, we have largely foreign than domestic. You see, foreign participated more than 55%. So the question now is that the presenter was asking me a question there that do you think that when foreign the foreign investor remove their fund from the equity market, the equity market will go bearish? I said, see, one thing you should understand is that foreign investors are institutional and HNIs. They normally invest on value stock. Value stock in terms of they've done their fundamental analysis that this stock is supposed to be trading around 1 naira, and it's trading at 0.7 kobo, for example. And for us, I would tell you a key thing you should understand if a foreign investor wants to invest. They will tend to look at your interest rate first. Our interest rate is quite kind of stable. Since January, like 27.5. The CBN is saying that there's still inflation out there. Month on month, there's still inflation. The first time inflation dropped month on month is last month, July 2025. And the reduction is just a small percentage. So the interest rate is favorable for foreign investors. It's still on a stability, 27.5. And secondly, what foreign investors will look into is your foreign exchange policies. Foreign exchange policies. So we should not forget the first reform that part of the reform that President Tinubu did on the first day of he came to office was foreign exchange reform, saying that the doesn't want to peg it any longer. You want a free flow of foreign exchange policy. Let demand and supply determine the price. And this is good for foreign investors, because they believe that when we pump more money into your economy, when we send more money to Nigeria, there's a high supply, so your currency will tend to increase, will have more value. So these are stuff that we should look into, because going forward, for me, for our outlook here at Osrc Security Limited is that most investors are investing in value stock. The only rally that happened within last week to last week was insurance sector, and there were profit taking occur on last week Wednesday to Friday.
Yes.
So for me, there's still a value in equity market where investors, retail investors, HNIs, institutionals can play a key part of it. Just for you to enter the market at the right time, and the industrial sector is still there, consumer sector is still there. They may be high now, but for me, by the time they release a quarter 3 result, you will see the really prospects in that.
Now, talking about the insurance sector, the Naira Act 2025 repealed and consolidated several outdated insurance laws into a single modern legal framework. Now, the new act strengthens Nigeria's financial sector and also provides comprehensive regulation and supervision of all insurance and reinsurance businesses operating within Nigeria. Are we expecting activities in the insurance sector being propelled further with the announcement of a fresh recapitalization exercise for the industry by the National Insurance Commission?
If you look at the insurance reform acts that occur, company with life assurance will from 2 billion to 15 billion. Non-life from 3 billion to 25 billion. The non-life are AICO, M-Benefits, LASACO, Azamaza, and the other ones are which are life insurance from 2 billion to 15 billion. Now, firstly, for the short period of time, for the short run, you will notice that immediately that day, when that news came out, the insurance sector stock went to full bid. A lot of people want to buy. A lot of buyers are bidding high at the highest price of the market. And we should not forget one thing, that insurance sector is not that liquid in terms of how liquid is insurance sector. Insurance sector are moved from penny stock to stock that have value. But if you look at a good analysis of all the insurance sector, you will notice that most of their financing activities under their cash flow, most of them are negative, and some are even zero. LASACO for last year had a negative, till this year had a negative income statement, financials. And you will see that why would an investor want to go and invest for the long period of time in a stock that have negative? However, if you have a strategy that you want to take a long position, that okay, you are not buying for buying sake now, you are positioning yourself that by the time that you capitalize, but you don't know how the capitalization will be done. Each insurance company have not come out. Last week, federal government said they only have 1 year, 12 months to do that recapitalization. So it tends to do your proper analysis that, okay, for example, for LASACO that have negative income statement, will we merge with another insurance company, or would there be a buyout or backing? Those are strategies that you should look into. before you say you want to invest. So for short period of time, the insurance sector is a good buy.
Okay.
You can take your profit, enter, then take your 30% or 40% and walk away. But for long period of time, I'm not seeing those stock to be more of a value stock. Reason because liquidity issue. If you buy insurance sector now, at maybe 40 million units, can you sell now at the market? You know, those are stocks we need to look at. That's why most investors are always playing around with banking sector stock, because interim dividend is there, full year dividend is there, liquidity is there. But for insurance, those advantages are not there at all. You know, so mostly, if you look at last year also, insurance sector index did quite impressive return. But what are we talking about this year? The Reform Act will really push the index also, which I already pushed within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, it gained more than 42%, close to 50%. So these are stuff we should look into. So for short time period for trading or for investing, you can tend to buy and do a walk away after you take your profit, which we saw last week. But now, panic selling occurred last week. But now we are even seeing that they are bid for ICO, Lasaco, and benefits. Custodian also, they also bid for it. So for long period of time, I'm not seeing investor really want to play in that space because of liquidity issue.
All right, now given the emphasis on the inflation trends, how might varying inflation scenarios, example, sustained high inflation versus moderating inflation, how can they shape investment strategies and stock market performance in the second half of 2025?
So if you look at the inflation report that came out, let me begin from January. There was a debate of the inflation, how they calculate inflation, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, and what National Bureau of Statistics is saying is that we need to take consideration of the digital economy. We need to take consideration of that the base year, what they use for base year, 2009, 2010, is outdated. That they should have done another base year, which is within 5 years. You know, now they are not using a base year of 2024 to the current year. So what this tells us that our inflation figure is not supposed to be around 40%, it's not supposed to be around 30%, it's supposed to be around 20% or 21%, based on this new method of calculating the CPI. And by this, it gives investor confidence. Okay. Because when you are seeing your inflation figures moderating, I'm not saying it's coming down, I always do moderating. You tend to have a belief that it's also helping the FMCG industry. It's also helping the consumer sector, consumer sector. And you've seen that reform, that new methodology playing big in the consumer sector. You know, but month on month, inflation is still increasing. Last week Friday, inflation results came out. Inflation went down from 22.22% to 21.88%. For the first time this year, food inflation went down. Month-on-month inflation went down. So this gives even foreign investors, domestic investors, a confidence that come. Now Naira has value. I can put my money in equity market, which is value in Naira. I can easily take it out without losing value of my money. Even though I gain 100% or 40% in the equity market, if there's a high inflation, by the time I'm taking my money out, that means my 40% is just like 10%, you know. But now inflation is coming down. That means if I put my money 40%, at the worst case scenario, maybe I'm seeing 35% in real time, you know. And foreign exchange also have really helped the foreign investors also, the stability. So I always tell people that when there's stability in the economy will drive, even though the price is high, but when there's stability, when you buy something of 1,000 naira today, by next 3 months, next 4 months, next 5 months, they're also buying that thing at 1,000 naira. But that stuff is very expensive.
All right, Kende, yes, our time is fast spent, but before you go, and briefly, just in, let me say, a minute, the market's next test will be sustainability. Can the earnings season and macro stability support further upside in the stock market?
It will. The only sector, the only index that not really the financial is banking sector, which most of them have sent that report, the financials to CBN for approval. Most of the banking sectors stock companies, the board have approved it. Access, Zenith, CBA, First Bank, we have even seen a lot of buying interest in all those stocks. So there will be sustainability in the market, even going forward. Because all these reforms are really this reform are not just reform of this year 2025. It's a reform of sustainability, and it really push the market to achieve its target for 2025.
All right, thank you so much, Kende Jules, Head of Research and Strategy at Osrc Securities Limited. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today.
Thanks so much.
And we hope that next time you will oblige our call.
All right, I will.
Thank you very much, and have a pleasant day. Now, for the past 25 minutes, 26 minutes thereabouts, we've been taking a look at, we'll be exploring the key drivers behind the upside in the Nigerian stock market. And our guest has been Kende Jones, Head of Research and Strategy at Osrc Securities Limited. And that's it on the program this morning. My name is Odunayo Sawyer. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be here on Wednesday for another edition of the program. Good morning.